I'm Don Dobson, Information Officer at the Broadcasting Commission, and we'll be making a presentation today at the PBCJ Youth Consultation. We'll be looking at the content ecosystem and how things have changed in terms of the technologies and platforms that people, especially young people, are using to access content. But no matter the kinds of technologies that have emerged, content remains king. And so our presentation will look at how the PBCJ can create compelling content, interesting content that will attract viewers, young viewers in particular.
One of the main issue we have to contend with as we talk about the PBCJ and the delivery of content is that there is a change in consumption patterns. Certainly for a demographic, your demographic, there's no change. You have been born and are consuming a lot of content online. For many others, that's not how we are accustomed to consuming content, but we have also had to shift to online content. So 80% of millennials consume all their video and other content online. Now this is coming from a Pew research out of the United States of America, but we can extrapolate. We are prototypes of human system interaction, so nobody beats us in terms of how we engage with technology. So it follows that it's not very different from how we consume content. Now I raise this, Julian mentioned terrorism. I'm going to speak about this because when we talk about content being consumed online, one of the main medium for the consumption and sharing of information is social media. And we talk about social media a lot in terms of our personal interaction, but there is also an insidious part of social media, which is not part of our conversation here because it seems to be something distant. And it is that terrorist groups are very strong in their digital media and content creation skills. They are in fact competing for eyes as the PBCJ competes for eyes. They use social media to gain sympathizers, they use it to raise funds, and they recruit disaffected youth. And I'm just going to show you a little video here about how ISIS creates content. And I'm sharing this because as we view this, we have to think about who is the PBCJ competing against. They're competing for eyes. And how you package your content determines who will be commanding eyes.
The alarm about ISIS, saying the terror group is reaching deeper into America thanks to a disturbingly sophisticated social media campaign. ABC's senior justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, investigates the group's high-tech recruiting efforts and why they're working so well.
In this online production mimicking the extremely popular Grand Theft Auto video game, ISIS terrorists sell adventure, with murder and mayhem as fun. The subtitles brashly say, "Your games. We do the same actions in the battlefields." The terrorists are using more than just video games. They're using hip-hop to lure young recruits to the front lines of a deadly war.
There's information that Trinidad has supplied ISIS with more foreign fighters per capita than any other country in the West. They like Trinidadians because they get high up in the ranks, they are very respected, they are English speaking, and they can be used very easily for propaganda. In Jamaica, now remember, the target is disaffected youth. In Jamaica, as Mark said, and as Julian said, we have many disaffected youth, over 120,000 young people between 14 and 20, not in school or in jobs. That's what's being reported by Dr. Herbert Gale. He has also pointed to young men with first degrees, not laggards, educated young men with first degrees, listing scamming and gang executive positions as occupations. Now, there's a conversation that needs to take place about this. And I raise it because we have to ask ourselves about the role of a public broadcaster in that conversation. But remember, as we talk about that conversation, we have to reflect on the video I showed before, which is about how the competing content, the content that the PBCJ will be putting out to address these types of issues, the competing content which is destructive in nature is being packaged in a very slick way, using video game technology with high production values. It just seems to me, as a matter of deduction, that the PBCJ will have to have no less high production values and slick approaches to packaging of content if it proposes to put out competing messages and win over the ears and eyes of young people. And this is something that I'd be very interested in hearing your views on later as you deliberate on this subject matter. But there are also new and different issues that are emerging because of this new ecosystem. That's now blurring the lines between public health and national security and what we call content regulation and consumption. Depression and self-esteem issues that are being brought about by digital isolation, those who have to be connected and stay connected, and who need to have validation in new ways, in different ways, likes and clicks and shares and so on, which requires a different psychology and a different intelligence to understand, to manipulate, and to respond to, and to survive. Reading deficits, because we now skim and scan, move very quickly over content. Impaired social skills, because we now communicate in very, very different ways. A shortened speech. We have issues around revenge porn, cyberbullying. We have sleep disturbance issues impacting on learning, attention, and memory loss, because children now go to sleep, some of them, with their earpiece in, because the latest thing that comes out, you can't miss that, because if you miss that by 2 hours, you're really out of touch. That's history. When you get up in the morning at 8 o'clock, whatever it is that went out at 11 o'clock that you're going to engage on, that's history. A conversation needs to take place about these things and what we're going to do about them. Here's an illustration from South Korea.
In South Korea, it's game on 24/7 at popular internet cafes. Known here as PC bombs, they offer gamers a comfortable, social environment to relax, eat, smoke, and of course, play video games with their peers. Another draw, the gaming systems in PC bombs are usually top-notch.
I can add to that, that smartphones and other devices are in the hands of many eager young hands, and there is no age limit to purchasing data. What is the data being used for? We know that there's a lot of free, harmful content online, including pornography. And we also know that many of our parents are unaware of settings that can help to protect against exposure to harmful content. We also know that in this age, it is increasingly difficult to inoculate. There was a time when you could say TV signs on at midnight, and then it's 24 hours, and you could say prime time is this time, and you could say the watershed is 9 p.m., and you could say all kinds of things. But it is now very, very difficult to mediate young people and content. And so the question is, how does a public broadcaster help us to frame these issues, understand them, and aid us with the new intelligence that is required for an age that is really very different and is changing exponentially. So, in short, we have to be rethinking not just the purpose of public broadcasting, but we also have to begin to interrogate what are the approaches, the new approaches required in how we create and distribute content that serves a public interest purpose. So those are my comments. It's not intended to be an authoritative statement. I'm just raising some issues and hope that in the process of your deliberations, you might find them useful as you think about these matters. Thank you very much.